Welcome everyone. My name's Peace Mitchell and I'm co-founder of the Women's Business School and Osmompreneur, and I'm also co-author of a brand new book called Back Yourself. And today I'm so excited to be chatting with some of my co-authors of this book and asking them about their chapter and telling us the messages that they've wanted to share through the book. So we'll get started right away, and I'd love to introduce you to Lana Kruger. Hi Lana, how are you?
Hi Peace, I'm very good, thank you.
Lana, for people who haven't met you before, would you be able to introduce yourself, tell us a bit about who you are and what you do in your business?
Okay, so Lana Kruger, as you've said, I've originated from South Africa, and my entire working career really started just over 20 years ago in supply chain and logistics. And today I own my own company, which I've done for about nearly 3 years. And so that's me in a nutshell. And what the business does is, so Megna Group, my company's called the Megna Group, and we are an end-to-end supply chain business for people who are brands, or any business who owns a brand. What we help our customers with is literally getting their product from their manufacturer right up to into their consumer's hand. And we specialize in e-commerce, fulfillment and logistics. So some of our customers, we only do their imports for them. Other customers, we do everything. So we manage the imports into the country. We have fulfillment centers across Australia. We have our own one in Brisbane. So I like to say that my business was designed to help business owners focus on their business rather than the pains that go with logistics. So we have a solution and software and things that really make it easy. Our slogan really is set and forget logistics.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Lana. It's great to have you here. And later on today, we'll be diving in a bit deeper with what you've written about in your chapter as well. So thank you.
You.
Thanks, Lana. So Kristy Moore, I'd love for you to introduce yourself now and tell us a bit about who you are and what it is that you do in your business.
Hi everybody, I'm Kristy Moore and I'm a mum to a beautiful little 8-year-old girl. It was quite a journey to become a mother for myself. My daughter Kayla was actually my 7th pregnancy. So I didn't have trouble getting pregnant, but I had trouble keeping the pregnancies. But Kayla came into our lives just over 8 years ago now, and she's my rainbow baby. She's my special little girl. She beat all the odds, and she's kept me on my toes ever since. She was actually diagnosed with autism just before her 4th birthday, so that was a real journey for us. But my business, I've been in business for myself for over 12 years, but I recently changed at the end of last year. The business that I was running no longer was bringing me the joy, I guess. And I decided to follow my dreams, a dream that I had for over 20 years, a dream that I made in 2000 when I was in Year 12. I set the goal of having my own travel agency. And this year in January, I actually opened the doors to travel more. And I actually opened the doors the day before COVID hit Australia. Nobody could have foreseen that, but it's been a wonderful journey this year. Due to, I guess, the travel restrictions and everything like that, I've had a really great start to the business of building the foundations and making everything solid. And I actually owe a lot of that to Peace and Kathy as part of the Business Women's School. Without that program, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today telling you about my business, because my business probably would have went under before it started. So I'm very grateful for that experience. And one of the best things that I get to do now, and throughout the program, I was able to find my niche area within the travel industry. So I actually specialise with helping autistic families travel. I'm one of 3 certified autism travel professionals in Australia. And it's something I originally did for personal reasons to help my daughter and to help me sort of understand a little bit more. But throughout that, I found out that I was actually only one of 3 in Australia. So now I've decided that that's my area of interest more than just helping families in general. I specialise in that field, and I absolutely love it. I get to mix personal and professional experience together, and I also get to give my personal advice as well as my professional advice, and I'm lucky that I get to call it work. It doesn't feel like work, but I'm very lucky that I do get to call it work, and I absolutely love it. As well as my own travel business, I do have the family business, which I guess I've got to talk about a little bit. Otherwise, my husband would kill me. But we also run a cabinet making business, which we have done for over 20 years. And yeah, so that's Macedon Ranges Cabinets. We've just recently relocated it to the factory to our backyard. I'm quite lucky. I live on 150 acres in the beautiful Macedon Ranges. And so we've just finished building a factory in the backyard, which now means my husband will be home a lot more rather than having to do a lot of quotes after hours on the other side of town where the company's based at the moment in Briar Hill. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Wonderful. Well, it's wonderful to have you here, Kristy. I love that you've niched your travel business and you've enjoyed being part of the Women's Business School this year as well. It's really lovely to hear. Okay, well, now I'd love to introduce you to Kylie Mort. Hi, Kylie. How are you?
Hi, how you going, Peace? It's great to be here. I'm very excited about being part of the group. I actually am a bit of a writer with a experiential background as well, like Kristy's. I started out as a teacher. I've been a teacher for 20 years now. But the reason I got into being a teacher has a backstory as well, and I've sort of just made sure that I've grown as need with businesses. So we run a diesel mechanic workshop, my husband and I. I also decided that the education system wasn't doing a good enough job and I could do it better myself. So I resigned from state education and opened a tuition office, which was going wonderfully well up until March 2020, where the pandemic said no students anymore. And then I moved it online. So just like Kristy's, my story is very much about niching, and that's why my whole chapter is called Why Your Niche Needs to Be You, because I have now completely adapted and evolved what I do. I'm going further into the professional coaching more than just the academic tutoring. So I do performance coaching with academic minds, but also with life coaching, business coaching, because I've got, I was a year 12 business management teacher, which is why I started opening businesses, a year 12 English teacher, which is why I love the writing and that kind of thing as well. So I currently sit on my farm in Warrambane, Victoria, and write for a couple of magazines, write books and coach people to be their best selves.
Wonderful. So many things that you're doing and so much experience. It's really beautiful, Kylie. Well, thank you. We'll come back to you and dive deeper into your chapter shortly, but I'd love to introduce you to Katrina Wurm. Hi, Katrina. Lovely to see you.
And good afternoon from Victoria. I think all the Ks have something in common today, which is what I'm loving. So Kylie and I are both coaches, and Kristy and I both work in the neurodiverse sector, which is what I love. So I'm a coach. My particular niche up until really this week, which is exciting as well. So my particular niche has been working with mums of neurodiverse children. So children who have ASD or ADHD or ADD or gifted or twice exceptional, which is what I parent, and just helping those mums really have time back for themselves. And that's through a process of organisation. So I call it empowerment through organisation. And this week actually launched my new business, which is Stress-Free Super Mum. And that's all about getting those strategies, processes and routine and structure into the household so that the mums I work with have time back for themselves. I call it the space and grace to have time for themselves to work on their own passion. And if they've forgotten what that passion is, I help them find it again.
That's awesome. I love that, Katrina. And congratulations on your new business. It's excellent. Very exciting. So now I'd love to hear about the chapters that you've written and about the key messages that you wanted to share through the writing. So Lana, we'll start with you. Tell us about your chapter and tell us what some of the key messages that you're sharing are.
Thank you, Peace. So my chapter is called Achieving Success through Achieving Success through Resilience in the Face of Adversity. And the key message that my chapter is, or the message that I want to get across to the reader or to our readers, and the reason I chose that chapter is because it resonates really, really well with me, because I took it right back to my childhood, really, where I faced quite a bit of adversity from a young age. Not even my 20s, I was dealt a slightly different hand of cards to most people, where I pretty much, lost my whole family. And that was just a time in my life that I realized, you can either wallow in self-pity, or you can awaken your inner warrior and decide to take life, just to face life head on. So my journey from there really has been one very much of where I've had to do things myself, and I haven't really had the support that most people have in their lives. But the message I'm trying to get across in the story is that you don't have to face life alone, and that you don't have to have family around you to consider it as support. And my journey led me to be quite competitive throughout my career. I also, the fact that I'm in logistics and supply chain, made me resilient. So from a young age, I became very, very resilient, and I was quite determined to always challenge the status quo. So my career was established in a very male-dominant industry. But that mere fact, I didn't let that get me down. It made me more competitive, or should I say determined and motivated. And then as a result, throughout my journey, I realized that, there is this prehistoric gender issue, and I faced it. I faced many aspects of it throughout my journey within this male-dominant industry. So, there were times where promotions weren't given to me, or that sort of thing. So again, I didn't let that get me under. And that is, I think, what my chapter is all about, is for women to understand that, just because we are women, that is our superpower. And we are stronger than what we realize and what the world gives us credit for. And I also, my main message was that if you surround yourself with people, there are many people out there in the world. They don't have to be family. They just, as you go through life and as you follow your passions and your dreams, you will find what I would like to call your tribe. You find people that are like-minded, who support you and encourage you to be your best you. And that with those people, you can really achieve anything. So my key message is just, also that as an individual, every single one of us is extremely unique just because we are us. We all have our own, every single person has their own individual skills, talents, backgrounds, experiences, and that is the essence of one extremely unique human being. And that we should put that to use by finding using our passions and finding our dreams and following our dreams, and not following our dreams because the world demands us to be something different.
Oh, thank you so much, Lana. So true. We all have the power to follow our dreams, but sometimes it's hard, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So you talked about resilience and how you've had to find that resilience within yourself. throughout your life. Can you talk to us more about what resilience means to you and strategies for developing resilience?
Okay. So to me, what resilience means is it is something that helps. It's something that helps us overcome adversity. And life would be super dandy without adversity. But adversities happen. Resilience happens because it happens when there's adversity. And every time you overcome a certain adversity, you build a higher level of resilience and you start becoming more confident as you go through life. And, you know, I always say that without adversity, you can't learn the skills of resilience. And when you have resilience, that's when you build character. So in terms of strategies for finding resilience, for me, you know, the strategy that I would say I've always applied is that the thing with adversities are that it's not something we can control. It's just, you know, every day there are adversities, especially to us mums. You know, there's that meeting you've got to go into that you're nervous. There's that day where just, you know, from when we wake up in the mornings as mums and then as career women and then as friends and wives and then in life, you know, adversities aren't something we can control, but they do happen. And to me, the fact that they happen is great because it strengthens our resilience and it helps us overcome, it gives us more confidence in constantly overcoming even bigger challenges. Because I used to always look back from when it first started. Now, when something, you know, when I'm faced with an adversity, I usually look at that adversity and compare it back to the biggest adversity in my life that I believe I had to overcome with the sudden loss of all my family members. And I now look at adversity and go, if I could overcome that, I can easily do this. This is nothing in comparison to what I've already overcome. And to me, resilience builds character, and character leads to success.
That's amazing. I love your philosophy on looking at adversity as an opportunity to really learn from and grow from, and as an opportunity for success.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I'm having some internet issues here. So if I drop out, just keep going. But we'll go to Katrina now. Katrina, I'd love to hear about your chapter. And what are some of the key messages that you share through your chapter?
So my chapter is about the power of delegation, or as I call it, the actual gift of delegation. And the key message really is, if somebody can do something that you're doing to 80% of how you do it, then you need to delegate it. And my chapter's about different ways you can delegate, not only in your business, but also in your household. And as mums, it's something that we find hard to do, but it's really being able to take a step back. And I know, you know, I have clients say to me, oh, but they're not going to love my business as much as I do. They're not going to do it as well as I do it. Or my kids aren't going to put their clothes away the way that I do it, or fold their clothes the way that I do it, or make their lunch the way that I do it. And we've got to realise that as mums, we don't need to do everything. We don't need to be that Insta perfect mum or that Pinterest perfect mum, because it's not realistic. And as business women, we have to realise that we can't do it all. We don't need to know it all. But we need to find people that we know, like, and trust, that we can hand those activities over to. And as I say in my chapter, if you're having trouble doing it, start in the home. Start with your kids, because kids from 2 years onwards can do chores. And I want mums to know that, you know, the unfulfilled life of a mum is too much of a burden for a child to carry. So when your kids see you working in your passion or working on your passion, that's the greatest lesson you can teach them about what life is about. And I think we might have lost peace looking at that. We'll just see if we can get her back.
Can you hear me?
Yep, got you now.
My internet keeps freezing, but that's okay. We will keep going. So, Katrina, you talked about so many things in your chapter, and really about the importance of women looking after themselves through using organisation and systems and structures to help them get things under control. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
So I truly believe that, you know, planning's a big thing. I don't know if you can see behind me, but I've already got next year's calendar up on my office door. So planning to me is a big thing. And what I do is I teach all my clients to use a matrix called the Eisenhower Principle. I think Stephen Covey used it in a few of his books. But it's really looking at everything you need to do and then breaking it down and, you know, into 4 sections of things that you need to do now, things you need to do later, things you can delegate, which is my favourite one, and then, of course, the things that you can ditch, the things that you can just get rid of. So it's about planning your day, and planning doesn't have to be set in stone, but it's about, I wake up in the morning and I know exactly what's happening each day, and I'm into time blocking and things like that, but I'm organised, love structure. And I just want, the reason I get my mums to do it, and I help them do it by looking at their full week, is so that they have time back for themselves. Because if you're not looking after you, you're showing the rest of the world how to treat you. So if you're not respecting yourself and showing the world that that's what you need for yourself, then the whole world will treat you the way you're treating yourself. And as I mentioned in my workshop, if you can see behind me, there is a mirror and a picture of a little girl, which is me. And whenever I have a negative thought about myself, I say it to that little girl in the picture behind me. And trust me, that feels all types of wrong. So the way we speak to ourselves becomes the way we view ourselves. So it's all about telling mums that no matter how they parent, I have been labelled a parenting coach. I don't tell people how to parent. I just give them ways of being organised and structured to support their own parenting style, whether that's, you know, helicopter mum, free range parenting is one I've heard lately, authoritarian parenting. There's so many different versions of it. I like one I heard recently actually called elephant parenting, and what that's about, or elephant mothering, what that's about is the whole herd actually mothers the child. It's not just the mother of that elephant, but the whole herd mothers that baby elephant, which is what I love. And that's what we need to do. We need to build up our tribe, or our SPART team, which is what I call it, to help you parent. Because before the Industrial Revolution, we parented in villages. So we weren't on our own. After the Industrial Revolution, we expected mums to do it all. Now, in the last century, mums are out working where more and more where we weren't before. So, and we need to do that. You know, many households do need 2 incomes coming in. So we need to support mums, because you still can't do it all. You still can't do all the cooking and cleaning, child raising. It's not the traditional model of the 50s housewife anymore. So we need to ease up on ourselves and realise that we can delegate stuff and get rid of the whole mum guilt. Because if your mum guilt is related to comparison, you need to ditch that right now. It should never be related to, as I said, that Pinterest mum or the Instagram mum, because trust me, there's something else going on in their life, or they've got a lot of help. And I want, I guess, the mum guilt to stop. And that's how I help my mums just get organised, because I think I got tired of, I've had girlfriends saying to me all the time, oh, look, I'll do that tomorrow. You know, I'll do it when the kids go to kinder, or I'll read that book, or paint again, or take that course, or start that business when the kids are at primary school. And then it's when the kids finish high school. Oh, no, I'm going to do that when the kids move out of home. And I call it the tomorrows, and I want every mum to stop the tomorrows, to know that you can do it today. And that's what I support my mums through, to know whatever they want to do, whatever their passion is, or to help them find it again, they can do that today, because we only really have today. None of us know what's going to happen to us tomorrow. Kirsty and I are in the same boat. We've lost multiple pregnancies, and you know, one of my sons is actually in the local cemetery. So you don't know what's going to happen to you tomorrow. So you need to live for today. And I want you to wake up, I always say, with joy in your heart and a smile on your face, and know that what can you do today to make your own tomorrow better? So I guess that's all about the self-care and putting your oxygen mask on first, and filling your cup first, and just having time to sit down and finish a cup of tea instead of walking around the house and there's 10 cold cups of tea that have been half drunk throughout the day. So in my chapter, it's all about delegation and where you can delegate and to not feel guilty about doing it.
Oh, I love that so much, Katrina. And we don't have to do it all on our own. You know, those days when we had the village and everyone chipped in to help you with the laundry and raising the kids and cooking the meals together, you know, we did have so much support from everyone around us. And then, as you said, the Industrial Revolution came and women were expected to be at home by themselves. And now women are expected to run the house and be working, and it's too much. Can't realistically do it all. I think that's so important, such an important message.
And as you mentioned this morning, you know, we've lost the connection. You know, instead of the women going down to the river and the stream and washing their clothes together, when they got, you know, the washing machines in their houses, we've lost the connection of being able to talk to other women and being able to talk openly and honestly and from the heart about what's going on in our lives. You know, about what's happening to us, about how we're feeling about things, and I guess being vulnerable. And we all need girlfriends we can ugly cry with, or people who support us that we can be vulnerable with, to get that connection back. And it's funny, even though COVID, you know, has been really dramatic, especially in my household, because my husband was diagnosed with cancer this year as well. So we've been going through that journey. But in a way, even though we're not seeing people face to face, the fact that we've had to use alternative means to connect, I found more families are connecting than ever before. Like they're scheduling, you know, the Zoom family call on a Sunday night, whereas in person, they mightn't have caught up, you know, once every 6 months. But in a way, we can take the blessings and the beauty out of this year, that we've created all these other points of connection that we maybe not have done. You know, and we're ringing and checking on our parents more, we're ringing and checking on our friends more, where we might have not caught up as often. So I always believe out of, and as Lana was just talking about, every hurdle, you know, I call it, you know, every sort of curveball, I call it, you know, you get hit by curveballs and you take the bruise and you stand up again. And we've got to take beauty out of that. I remember I was speaking at a seminar once and I said, you know, one of my blessings was, and I need to look at it this way too, was my son actually dying. And the women sort of went, oh, what do you mean? And I said, well, because, you know, I would give everything to have him with us. But the fact that I've now stepped into coaching and helping other mums, I've taken the blessing out of that, that otherwise I would still be 100% in my corporate job. And I wouldn't have taken the blessing of being a mum and learning those lessons to then go out and help other mums. And I think, you know, that's what I'm hearing from Lana as well, from such a horrific story of losing your family in one go, the fact that she's taken the blessing out of that and the resilience out of that. If we can just help other mums through our stories, that's what this book is about. Each one of us has a story and we're sharing them, you know, warts and all, about our resilience and our challenges, and we've all failed, and you don't grow unless you fail. You don't grow unless you make mistakes. And that's what I'm trying to teach my son. You know, there's no harm in coming second or coming last in a race. Like, my little boy couldn't run. He just learnt to ride a bike when he was 10 because he has balance issues. But my greatest joy was, I was at work one day and he was sports carnival, and of course couldn't run. He'd run 100 meters and overbalance because because with hydrocephalus he's quite top heavy, so he always had scraps, you know, blood on his face and marks on his face because he'd skid on the road. And they were doing a running race. I think he was in grade 5. Now, of course, all the other kids have finished, you know, 100 meters or at least 100 meters before he finished. But 4 mums videoed that race for me to show me that the whole school was standing on the sidelines clapping him. 5 of his mates were running on the sideline next to him, all cheering for him to finish that race. And that's what connection is about, to have that, you know, beautiful little school, but to have that support of whatever is going on in our lives, to know you've got somebody to ring up and say, hey, I'm having a really crap day, and to know they've got your back.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And what a beautiful example of the community all rallying around and supporting your son. So beautiful. Oh, thank you so much, Katrina. So Kylie Mort, we'll come to you now. I'd love to hear about your chapter, what you've written about, and what some of those key messages are.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, just like when Katrina was talking about the connection and the external factors that really have such a big influence on an individual's ability to back themselves and to make their passion come true, I focus more on the internal, because I was in a publication last year where I went through a lot of that background of you know, trauma and family breakdown and abuses and paraplegia and that kind of thing. So with this publication, I really wanted to focus on giving readers exactly what they needed to take it and apply it to themselves. So it's very school teacher of me, I suppose, which is me. So I like, mine's just peppered with questions, and I encourage the readers to go through and to answer those questions, you know, and if they don't know the answers, find out, because that's what I love about this book, is you've got so many successful women focusing on the different highlighted elements of how to evolve and adapt and be who you want to be, that we've all got this message that people can gather the tools from, which I think is really fantastic. So with my chapter, it's called The Importance of Passion, Why Your Niche Needs to Be You. And as I was talking about before, I've gone really experiential here with, you know, at the start of the pandemic, I had 3 award-winning companies and 15 staff, and everything was bigger. And I think of that story, the Dr. Seuss story, the biggering and growing, and, you know, what can I do next, and how can I support my community, and how can I get other businesses involved. But then from the pandemic, this chapter is very much a case study on how I just went, you know what, is this where I should be? Is this the mission that I set out at the start? So very much with what I'm doing with my chapter is, you know, asking the readers where you are, who you are, where you're going, who you want to be when you get there, and how you're going to be there. So a lot of what I talk about as I go through is very much mission and vision orientated, because the same with resilience and that anchoring in, you know, what was it that you set out to achieve, and are you still going down that same pathway? And I work with acronyms, again, very teacher-like, but we've got the, my R's, I've got the reframe, reflect and refocus, and then reimagine, redesign and recreate. And, you know, the reason that they all structure on re is because I'm a realist, and life's going to knock you down, and it's going to be hard. And that's why I think that this kind of book is going to be really inspiring for people who are, it doesn't matter if you've never had a business, if you're in a business, if you're transferring to a new business, like Kristy's just doing, you've got your, 2 steps forward, 1 step back process the whole time, and making sure that people understand what they started with and the vision that they had at the start is going to really help them with remembering where they were going.
Yeah, wonderful. And so you've gone with really practical strategies that people can apply. Is that what you were wanting to do with your chapter?
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to really make sure that whatever they took from my case study that they could then use for themselves. And also too, over, as any entrepreneurial mind would do, over the pandemic, I of course went, oh, well, I've got to get more qualifications and get better at what I do now. So I've recently gone back to uni. I'm studying psychological science. I finished my 200-hour training for my yoga teacher course as well, so I could go into the mind-body connection. So I'm really trying to look at coaching, not just from, I'm an academic that's been an academic for 20 years, but I've done neuro-linguistic processing, I've done yoga, I've done psychology, I've done social psychology, and trying to really encompass everything about the brain, because I'm just so obsessed with the human brain, because, again, it's looking at your past and discovering the gold gems in where you've come from, because I actually suffered a brain injury when I was a child, falling from a horse, which is probably why I'm so obsessed with the brain and obsessed with learning. So now that I'm studying all of this psychology, I'm trying to put the pieces together. And the main thing that there's a flow through the chapter that I've written about is the fact that you're not what the world perceives you as. You're whoever you want to wake up today and be, and that's why I go with the reimagining, redesigning, and recreating, because we have to evolve. The only constant in life is change. So, and that's why every single one of us, with all of our businesses, in March this year, just went, right, what are we going to do next? We can swim here, and we need to adapt and evolve. And so I really wanted to give, to inspire readers that it doesn't matter if you have been this person up to this moment. It doesn't matter if people are labeling you as you are this type of person. You can be whoever you want to be, but the caveat on that is make sure it's who you want to be and not who, you're perceiving that somebody else needs or, society should see you as. You've got to really tap into what's my passion, because that's going to give you the congruency to make sure that whatever it is that you decide to make a business of, that your passion, your niche shines through, and you won't have to sell yourself, because people will just be drawn to the fact that you're doing what set your souls on fire.
Oh, I love that so much. I love that. It's, finding that clarity around who you want to be and then becoming that. Yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Kylie. I think that chapter is going to be an incredible chapter for people to read who are wanting to really get clear on who they are and where they want to get to in the future. Very exciting. So now we'll go to Kristy. Kristy, can you tell us about your chapter and some of the key messages that you've shared?
My chapter is called Networking is Key, and it is basically all about networking and how it doesn't have to be hard, doesn't have to be scary, and you are pretty much already doing it without even knowing it most of the time. And again, it comes back to that connection. 80% of opportunities come from people that you already know. So the more people that you know, the more time that you take to network or take to getting to know people is going to, in end, help you to win business. Most of the time in business, it can be very lonely. It can be a crazy journey of lots of highs and lots of lows, but having the right support around you can make all the difference to your business. And ultimately, we network to build the long-lasting relationships, and people do tend to buy and do business with people that they already know and that they already trust. So the more that we can get ourselves out there, and it doesn't have to be hard, doesn't have to be scary. you know, most of the time when your children start school or kinder or even at the shops, people are already asking you, you know, what do you do? And you're telling them what you're doing. That's networking. Most people don't necessarily think that counts, but we are already doing it. I do talk a lot about how it's about finding the right network for you as well. There's so many different networking events and networking groups out there, and not all of them are going to be the right fit for you. I know when I first started looking into networking, which now I love networking. It's something that I do quite often. I'm lucky, and I actually run my own local networking group in my local area for women. A lot of having a little child at the time is I was finding a lot of difficulties with finding a group that suited me with times and things like that. So it's about finding the right fit for you. And once you do find that right fit, opportunities do come out of it. I'm very lucky. The Osmum community is a great community. And again, so many opportunities have come out of it for me. This book in one, if you had told me, you know, at the beginning of this year that you'd be writing a book, I would have laughed at you. English was always my worst subject at school. I was a numbers person, not a writer. But it's been a great experience to be part of. And even the other day, I got to do be a guest on a podcast. Peace saw something and it was perfect for me. But at first, I honestly didn't think that I would have been right for this podcast. But it took me all day to get the courage and to actually back myself and say, no, let me put my hand up and say, yes, I can do this. And it ended up being the most perfect fit for me. But without networking, I would never have got those opportunities. And I guess what I really wanted to get out there in particular is it's that good old catchphrase. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And often networking can go against everything that we've been taught. As children, most children are taught, you know, don't talk to strangers. And networking, ideally, is actually talking to strangers. You know, the first time I ever walked into a networking event, I've never met any of these people before, and it's and most people do have, and I thought it was just me having the butterflies or not thinking that I was good enough or not thinking that my business was a real business and so on. But it's about just getting yourself out there and literally learning to back yourself. I finally have done that, and I'm very grateful that I do get these opportunities. But without putting yourself out there, you're not going to be able to grow. It does help, and the support as well, because networking doesn't necessarily always have to be about business relationships. I've made some wonderful friends through networking groups, and I'm quite lucky. I've actually had Katrina be a guest speaker at my networking group before, because we are in the local area together, and she was amazing. But yeah, without putting yourself out there and giving it a go, and it doesn't have to be hard. It can be purely just, you know, walking up the shops and saying hello to somebody at the school gate or in your church group or at your children's sports. I know personally for me, and often opportunities sometimes arise when you least expect them to. For 5 years ago, I actually was diagnosed with ovarian cancer and actually had to have some chemo at the time. And I actually, one of my best business clients for my previous business came from when I was actually sitting in a chemo room getting treatment. We were talking, and it just so happened that they were looking for a product that I stocked. And like I said, they actually ended up becoming my best customer. So there's opportunities always out there, and often when you least expect them.
Yeah, wow. It's such a great topic, I think, Kristy. But the question I have for you is, what about if you're an introvert, if you're really shy, if the thought of going into a crowded room of people who are all business people and experienced, and you're just starting out in business, don't know anyone else and don't know how to start a conversation, what do you do then? What's your advice for someone like that?
Yeah, that was one section of my chapter that actually sort of covers that, because I know when I actually walked into my first networking event, I convinced myself of that everyone else was better, they were more confident, that who am I? I've only just started. How can I compete with these people that have been in business for many, many, many years? And I pretty much sat in the corner for the whole time with butterflies in my stomach. And then after talking to people, I started to realize that they actually felt the same too. They honestly had the butterflies as well. And most people do. You do get those butterflies in your stomach when you first start going. And it's about finding that right fit. If you're definitely an introvert, I'm sometimes like that myself. And I'll, sort of sit back and wait to sort of come into my element, I guess. And but it's about finding those connections for you, because not all networking groups are going to be the right fit for you. So I know in my experience, I actually had to attend, I think it was probably, about 10 different events and a few different groups before I found the ones that fitted for me, because they either the times weren't right, or they were all professional based, where my business was a children's and babies business, and the connections weren't coming. So it really comes back to finding the right fit for you. And sometimes it can take time, and networking, it's not just a one-off event. It's an ongoing event, really. You've got to put the work in to get something out of it. And often it's not necessarily about getting all business just for you. It's about being able to know the people that you're networking with, so when opportunities come up, that you can actually refer them as well, because it's not always about just taking, it's about giving back as well. But it basically comes down to finding that right fit for you more than anything. And once you do find that right fit, you'll find that you do want to talk, that you do want to communicate with these other ladies or with the gentlemen. And it makes it a lot easier when you're comfortable and when you're relaxed and you've got that perfect fit.
Oh, I love that. And Kristy, when you meet someone at a networking event, then what do you do to follow up afterwards to continue building the relationship? Do you have any tips or strategies for how to proceed?
You definitely do have to keep in contact, and definitely have to do follow-ups. If you've given your cards out and you've said that you're going to give them a call in a week, make sure you jot that down and do it, because it's as I said earlier, people do build the relationships and do business with people that they know and trust, and success comes from constantly making those new contacts and following up and keeping in touch. It is definitely about keeping in touch, so making sure that you follow through with what you say and checking in with them. Even like with in particular with my travel business at the moment, yes, I'm not doing many travel bookings, but it's about connecting with the clients and letting them know that we're still here. I have a service which, about passport renewals. So it's about letting them know when their passport's about to run out, having that 6-month validity, but more or less just keeping in base, saying, hi, how you going? It doesn't necessarily have to always be business related. You can actually make those relationships into personal relationships as well. And it's more about the support than anything. It doesn't always have to be about business, but about supporting each other and being there for each other. But keeping in contact is definitely the key.
Fantastic. Such great advice, Kristy. Thank you so much. Okay, well, we might go around now and just ask everyone to share their contact details of where people can find you or connect with you if they want to get to know more. So Katrina, can you tell us where we can find you?
So you can find me at my new website, which is just launched, which is www.stressfreesupermum.com, or on Facebook, Katrina Wurm Empowerment Coaching.
Thank you so much, Katrina. Kylie Mort, where will we find you?
Probably the easiest way would just be to go to my website, kyliemort.com.au. Unfortunately, it's not new or flash, it's pretty old and run down. But yeah, kyliemort.com.au, and there's lots of links there to social medias and that kind of thing. And my phone number, my email address, it's all there.
Beautiful, thank you. Lana, how about you? How do we get in touch?
Okay, so anyone looking to get in touch with me can also go to our website, which is www.megnagroup.com.au, And similar to Kylie, all my contact details are there. Lots of links to our social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So head off to our website. You'll find us there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And Kristy, how about you? Where can we reach you?
Yeah, on Facebook, it's Kristy Moore Travel Counsellors, and on Instagram, it is Travel More. I've got my Travel Counsellors website, but I'm also in the process of developing the Travel More website, which is more about the specialised area of travel that I'm doing.
Fantastic. And when will you be launching that website, Kristy?
It's actually in the process at the moment, because I've got a new colouring book that I've been working behind the scenes on, coming out just after Christmas in time for our first birthday in January. So everything's ready to launch for our first birthday in January.
Fantastic. Well, that's exciting. I can't wait to see your new website and the launching. Well, thank you so much to all of our authors for being here today. Thank you to everyone who's joined us live and everyone watching the recording. I can't wait to be sharing this book with you all very soon and sharing all of these stories and incredible advice from everyone. And now I would like to introduce our next presenter. We have Karen McDermott, who's going to be talking about scaling your business. Welcome, Karen. How are you?
I am good, Peace. How are you going?
Really good, really good.
Isn't it amazing hearing everyone speak about their chapters? It just, you get to know everyone so well. It's just so wonderful. And it's the last day of the festival. Can you believe it?
I know, it's it's been a busy week. We've heard from so many people, and I am so excited to be sharing this book with the world. The stories and the incredible women who are in this book are just amazing, and I know it's going to inspire so many people.
Well, we're all about energy and magic, and we can feel it. We can feel it at the core of this book. I cannot wait to see where it goes. It's just going to be amazing. Okay, so I'm here today to chat about scaling up, which is what my chapter is about in the book. So I fell in love with this book so much. I had to be part of it as well. So I thought, whenever I got scaling up, I was like, yes, because usually I'm always talking about publishing, and I get to talk about how I went from a seedling of an idea to being to growing my $1 million business, which was my intention when I set it with the seedling of the idea. So I do have a bit of a slideshow to show you, which I'm going to share. I've done a bit of a Canva one, but I will share my journey and how I made it happen alongside the amazing Peace and Katie, I must add. If it wasn't for them and the amazing network, I would not be where I am today. So I just want to really, share that, because it's just so important. It's such an integral part of my journey. Oh. So I'll share my slideshow and then, share a bit about the journey along the way. Okay. So bear with me 1 second.
Wonderful, Karen. And we'll have questions at the end as well. So if anyone has questions, make sure you jot them down as we go, and then we'll do Q&A after Karen's done her presentation.
Wonderful. So anybody who's watching this and doesn't know me, my name is Karen McDermott, and I own 4 publishing presses and a publishing academy. And we've got KMD Books here because that's where I publish my thought leaders, business owners, all of those kind of books that evolve people. And it's really excited. And KMD Books was really just founded at the beginning of 2019 and really kicked off during COVID. So it's one of the COVID success stories, and I'm really proud of it. But the reason why it can grow so fast is because of my journey and where I started with the seedling of an idea and an intention of investing $50 a week in that seedling of an idea and seeing where it would go, and being very open to the journey. But the intention was to build Serenity Press into $1 million press. And to do that is just, I'm like happy dancing because it's very much, story is very important to me, and the power of story. So I'm able to, through my hybrid presses, which is KMD Books and MMH Press and White Light Publishing as well, I'm able to bring the traditional models into a hybrid press and help business owners and authors really leverage that for themselves and grow their authorship, be visible and scale no matter what they're doing in life or in business, to scale and grow through that. Okay, so what we will chat about is, I'm going to do a bit of an introduction, how to scale your growth, how to manage your growth, and tips to grow with your current circumstance, and then a bit of a conclusion. So growth can assist you to reach new heights or new depths, and the choice is yours. So I'm talking about going deep, because when we go into the core essence of who we are and what fuels our fire, that's where the success is. That's what will keep you going through the challenges, and that's what will evolve you and really scale your business. And I know this from experience. I'm so passionate about story. I'm so passionate about helping people share their stories and connection. You know, Peace talks about connection. I heard somebody else talk about connection. So many of us talk about connection in Back Yourself, by the way. And because connection is a superpower. And when you learn to connect with people, and through story is a very powerful moment to do that, then magic happens. And you don't have to queue up with everybody else. You can find a VIP pass into the back door to success and scaling and growing your business. And it's genuine, and you know, you're showing up authentically, because whenever, who was it? It was yesterday, I think it was Rachel Ferguson said that her highest values were love and kindness. And mine are those as well. So I do everything through love and intention, and that shines through in everything that I do. And so people see that and value that and then trust that. And so that's, you know, it's how you build beautiful bonds with people. One of the things that I realized as well early on was that magic happens just outside the comfort zone. So, you know, we can stay where we're comfortable and grow at that level. And that's what I was doing when just before I went to the 2015 Osmompreneur conference. And, you know, I showed up and went to that conference, even though I had a 4-week-old, my 6th child was 4 weeks old, but I went and I knew nobody, but goodness me, did I not feel that I found my tribe and my people, and everybody was just so beautiful and connected, and made just opened up my mind to possibilities. And everybody was doing such amazing things. And in that room was businesses who were $1 million businesses, excuse me, who were stocked on Woolworth shelves. You know, I listened to speakers. The lovely Susan Pierce was there. She was the MC for the day, and I learned a lot from her as well. I remember sitting thinking, oh, I would love to be up there, you know, as a presenter sometime. God, that would be lovely. But everything I learned that year at that conference, I brought home with me, and I applied the next year, and I went outside my comfort zone. I invested in myself. I invested in my growth, and I started to think bigger. And the next year I was invited to be a presenter. I was thinking bigger, I was making big things happen. So, you know, it all happened and fell into place because I stepped up and I started to think bigger. So the third point there is find your tribe. So that's, you know, you just find your people who uplift you, who bring you along, and who put high vibrational energy and cheer you on along the way. And that's how you grow, and that's how you serve them. And you don't give energy to anybody else. Keep your energy for your people, and give as much as you receive. Okay. So managing growth through your ambition. I'm very ambitious. I've always been ambitious, but not in a competitive way. You know, I'm ambitious for myself. I like to see how far I can take things, how far I can grow, and I don't have fear around it. I'm very connected with a knowing, and I'll chat a bit more about my knowing and how I have scaled through knowing, because through knowing, there's no fear in knowing. Once you know, and we're all women in business, and we're all very intuitive. So when I'll just chat now about the 3-point system for knowing, and that is where you feel it. So you feel drawn to something. You've set a huge intention for you or your business. You know, big, fat, audacious goal. That's an Osmond phrase that we used to do. So what's your big, fat, audacious goal? And one of mine was in 2015 was to make my business visible, make Serenity Press visible. And I did that an opportunity came that I never even thought of. And if I had been very focused on a specific goal, this would not have come my way because I would have been close to it. But I ended up hiring a castle in Ireland, and that made me visible. That made my business visible. It took courage, but I knew that I was to say yes to that opportunity.